On episode 748 of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, we bring back Funk Roberts to discuss men's health and fitness after 40. Welcome to the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast, the largest and longest running health and fitness podcast dedicated to people over 40. Whether you're looking to lose weight, get stronger, or improve your health and age better, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Coach Allen, an online health and fitness coach and author of the Wellness Roadmap. Each week, we dive into practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your health and fitness. If you're ready to look, feel, and perform your best, no matter your age, this podcast is the perfect place to start. Let's get you on the path to a healthier, fitter, and more energetic version of yourself. I hope you'll join us each week, and together we can unlock your full potential. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the 40 Plus Fitness Podcast. I'm really glad you're here. Today we're going to have a special guest, Funk Roberts. He's actually got something pretty cool going on with a men's health summit that, bar none, is maybe the biggest men's health event in history. It's kind of crazy the number of guests he's going to have on this 7-day summit. You can learn more by going to 40plusfitness.com/summit. And I will, and you can get all the information you need right there to join us at that summit. I am a speaker, so I hope you will go there, 40plusfitness.com/summit. So a little bit about me. Today as I'm recording this, I'm in Panama City. I'm going in for a test. I'll go to talk to my doctor about the PET scan I had not long ago, hoping for good news. We'll see how that rolls, but we're on it, and I'm here in Panama City, Panama, to basically get this all checked out and figure out where we are. If you aren't getting yourself screened and tested, this is kind of my shout out to you. What's wrong? You need to go talk to some doctors on an annual basis. You're over 40. You're not a little kid anymore. It's time to grow up and actually go get some of that stuff done. So if you haven't had your scannings or tests done lately, probably worth making a go of it. This will be your gentle reminder as we go. Our guest today is a fitness visionary who is transforming lives of men over 40 by helping them boost testosterone, burn unwanted fat, build better bodies, and create the happy and productive life they want, naturally, safely, and without drugs or extreme solutions. As a former professional athlete, celebrity fitness expert, best-selling author, and global influencer, he reaches over 1 million men, athletes, fitness enthusiasts, and trainers worldwide through his email subscriber list, social media, YouTube channel, and online programs. With no further ado, here's Funk Roberts. Funk, welcome back to 40 Plus Fitness.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I can't wait to share my knowledge with listeners.
Yeah, first, again, I know I complimented you last time you were on the show for getting into this space. But the thing you're doing now, I can't say enough about it. It's a pretty exciting thing and so needed. You're putting together this huge summit. I don't think anyone's done anything like this in this space for sure. But we're going to talk about men's health today. And the summit that we'll talk about towards the end is probably going to be one of the best collections of men over 40 conversations that I think you could possibly have.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've been going through, like we mentioned before, off air. This is my fourth today, and yeah, the conversations and the strategies and the tips and all of the information, the practical stuff that all of these experts and doctors and specialists are giving specifically for men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s is, man, it's incredible. It's priceless. It's invaluable.
Yeah. But you're having these conversations. A lot of them are actually interview style. Some of them are solo. But you're kind of diving into these, and so we're going to seem like we're going to be bouncing around a little bit today. But the reality of this is, I just wanted to touch on these topics so someone can kind of get a flavor for what this is about and why this would be important to them. The first one I want to touch on is kind of a concept about who men are. What does it mean to be a man in 2026, especially someone over the age of 40?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's a great question, and for me, seeing all these guys when they come into my programs or listening to all these speakers in regards to the one thing that we lose as we age, right? If we're not on top of it, and that's our identity, right? What is a man? Well, right now that's kind of like all over the place because a lot of us don't know exactly what our role is, specifically if we've always been uh working at a specific thing. We're in a career, and a lot of men, a lot of us, we kind of put our identity into who we are at our job. And then when we retire or when we're close to retirement, the wheels start to turn. Okay, what am I going to do after I retire? Or on the flip side, it's like, oh yeah, I can't wait till I retire. And then a year later, it's like, now what am I doing? Right? I'm so attached to that. Or or
Yeah.
or it's the yeah, or it's the man who has family and kids that are around, and now their kids are older, and now their kids are gone. So now they become an empty nester. And so who they were providing for and taking kids to ballet and soccer and just helping them through all of the things that teenagers go through, but now they're not at home anymore. So now that that identity piece is kind of stripped. Even though you may have your significant other, that identity piece is stripped. And a lot of times too with men, their relationship with their wives, that identity becomes even increase, like decrease, because their relationship has been damaged in some way, right? Because we're working hard, we're trying to put food on the table, and then of course our health. So now our health goes to the wayside because we are the most diseased demographic, men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, when it comes to low testosterone, lowest it's ever been when it comes to chronic health issues like cardiovascular disease and hypertension. When it comes to suicide, one of my members just sent me a stat about 80% of the suicides that happen are men, and most of them are successful, which we do not want. So all of these things are happening. So we kind of lose who we are as a man, what our purpose is, because we've kind of attached our identity, and those are pieces of our identity. But a lot of times we attach all of our identity to that. And now they're gone. So what does it mean to be a man? Well, this says provide, protect, procreate, right? Provide, always providing. So providing doesn't just necessarily mean providing monetarily for your family, right? We have to show up for our family and provide ourselves to our family, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, what have you, whether your kids are out, whether you're retired, whether it's providing that emotional connection with your wife or significant other or your kids, or providing just for your community, right? We're still supposed to be providers in some way, shape, or form. Protecting, right? Again, protecting our domain, also just giving that protection to our family and those who are around us. And then procreating more means just the relationship as we get older, because we're not really procreating as much in our 50s, 60s, 70s, although peptides are probably going to change that. But we still have to think about that, and and then we have to figure out what our purpose is, right? What our next purpose is. And our purpose may continuously change, but we have to be on top of that purpose. What am I here for? What do I want to do? What is my next step? What is my next chapter in life, right? But we can't do all of that stuff if our identity has been attached to all of these things. And then the last piece of this, and the most important piece, is we can't do that stuff when we are ill, right? When we're not healthy, because we can't show up for our family. Because remember, as we get older, now we're at the age of 40, 50, 60, we have to take care of our parents. Like we are the ones that have to take care of our parents. We've got to move them to, cares, or they may be suffering from, whatever, Alzheimer's or whatever it is. But we're the ones now that have to show up for our parents. We're also the people who are going to be the patriarchs of our family. So like as we get older, more and more of our family and like extended family look to us like, oh, there's Grandpa Funk. Oh, hey, something happens, Grandpa Funk, what do we do, right? And if we're not mentally, physically, and emotionally ready to take on whatever it is, everything goes to the wayside. And then, of course, again, with our own health, the last thing we want, because I've been there, and I think we talked about this before, the last thing you want is you being in the hospital because of diabetes, because of something with your heart, some chronic health issue that you can 100% could have prevented. You being there helpless with your family having to, come to you. You're draining them emotionally. You're draining the bank account financially, depending on where you are. You don't want to be that person, right? You want to be the person that's there to help and provide for them. So health is going to be the key, specifically as we get older. But health will also help us to understand, okay, what's my next purpose, man? Like I got to figure out what's going on. Where do I want to go next? What do I want to do, right? And what's my next step in the next chapter in my life? That makes
Yeah.
sense.
And as you raise yourself, you raise your level, you raise your opportunities in all of those. And so, the way we look at ourselves and the way people see us is really going to be based on where we're starting. Because if we let ourselves decline too far, too fast, then we limit our options, we limit our opportunities, um, and we limit our promise as a man.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I see it a lot. I do see the good news is we can reverse this, right? No matter how bad it gets, no matter how, you know, deep in the weeds you are when it comes to not knowing what's next, kind of started feeling depression and anxious. We can turn that around, right? We can turn that around with starting to get healthy and then really starting to move forward, because I see that a lot in my program, that guys are like, man, if I wasn't healthy or I wasn't doing this program, there's no way I would have been able to show up for my son who is in active addiction, and I have to try to find him. Like I would not mentally have been there. There's other people in my program who have got into like insane accidents and have like recovered so fast, and their doctors are like, dude, you're recovering so quickly that man, I mean, what are you doing? Because yeah, you're going to be out of here quicker than normal people will. I mean, you can attest to that. So those are stories that I see all the time. Relationships with their wives that have been rekindled. So there is the other side, but yeah, you definitely have to step into that 100%.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about testosterone, because you brought that up as kind of one of the key drivers to how we're feeling as men.
Yeah, so testosterone is our number one male hormone, right? It's everything for us. It's our mood, it's our energy, it's how we sleep, it's muscle, it's fat loss, it's libido, it's everything. It's everything. It's fighting chronic health issues. And so at the age of 30, our testosterone levels naturally decrease 1 to 2% every single year. So by the time we reach 40, most men have low testosterone. And testosterone is kind of like there's total testosterone, which is on a scale of 0 to 1,000, really is what they measure. That's total testosterone. So anything between 300 and 900 is normal. I just put my things in quotes, but that's not normal, because 600 point differential is not a normal thing, because I know people who have 300, I know people who have 800, and they're totally different, right? But again, testosterone is super, super important. Unfortunately, right now, testosterone levels are the lowest they've ever been. And that's due to lifestyle. That's all a lifestyle thing. Because literally speaking, 95% of people who have low testosterone can naturally increase it. It's been due to lifestyle, meaning lack of sleep, not eating the right foods or eating horrible foods, not exercising, not taking care and managing your chronic stress. So there's a lot of lifestyle factors, that if we just clean that up, we can naturally increase testosterone. But that's also going to be a massive factor in us being able to have energy, to have drive, to make better decisions, to have clearer head, to actually take risks, meaning staying outside of your comfort zone. Because a lot of times people stick in their comfort zone, right? And that's kind of like, you hear this, you don't grow unless you're outside of your comfort zone. But truly, your comfort zone is where you're just going to deteriorate much, 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 much faster. You're going to be one of those people who have those strokes or chronic health issues hit you much, much more faster when you're inside your comfort zone, because you're not growing in whatever facet that is. So we got to step outside of our comfort zone. Having testosterone and having that drive is going to give you the ability to, okay, let's go, let's take that risk, let's try this, and if we fail, no problem, we'll just keep going. But as I mentioned before, testosterone levels are the lowest they've ever been. It's actually an epidemic right now across the board, and it's something that we really, really have to address. And a lot of people are addressing it exogenous with exogenous, treatments, but you still need to have a lifestyle in order for that to work.
Yeah. It's interesting because, when we talk about testosterone, we think about young men, we think about ego. And if you train like that, which I tried, I really did when I first was trying to fix myself. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do something that I would have done when I was 20, and it broke me every single
Mhm.
time. Ego, unchecked ego, it will break you. So what are some things that we're going to talk about with regards to smarter training?
Yeah, so your training definitely has to change. You hit the nail. You hit the nail on the head. The hell nail. Yeah, you hit the nail, the head of the nail. Whatever it is, you hit it. But basically, our margin for error is very, very small, right? So we have to train differently. So the old school cardio, jumping on the treadmill or jumping on the elliptical or whatever it is for 60 minutes, that's not going to work for us because testosterone also has hormones that are the enemy. I call the enemy of testosterone. One is cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. It's a hormone that we need. We need cortisol. Like in the morning when we wake up, we need cortisol. Right now, my cortisol levels are probably high. I also just worked out, so my cortisol levels are probably the cortisol is high during workouts. So we need it throughout the day, fight or flight. We need it, but it's the chronic stress, the chronic cortisol that happens, right? And we don't want our cortisol to be elevated because it causes so much damage to the body when it's elevated. And when you do long 60-minute cardio sessions, when we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, our cortisol levels are elevated. 30 minutes, perfect. That's like the sweet spot, 30 to 45 minutes before, we see the adverse effect of cortisol being high. But that 60 minutes is just killing us. Cortisol eating up at our muscle, and we have to build muscle, right? So first and foremost, those type of workouts aren't going to work. The long, treadmill cardio that we know is cardio. The second thing is the bro split type workouts, which I mean traditional bodybuilding style, which we all probably know because when we were growing up, like in our teens and our 20s, Flex Magazine, Muscle and Fitness, that's all we had. And so those are the magazines that were only showing bodybuilders, really, because that was a heyday bodybuilding. So when I talk about traditional bro split or traditional training, it's like chest day, right? Monday, chest day, Tuesday, biceps and triceps, Wednesday, back, Thursday, leg, Friday, shoulders and abs, or whatever it is, right? So you're training like 6 days a week. That's too much volume for us because also as we get older, we don't recover. Like you may even realize and figure out that, hey man, I'm not recovering as much. Like I worked in the garden yesterday with my wife, and man, I'm done like for 2 or 3 days, right? Or I go out to have drinks with friends, and man, I'm still feeling it for 3 days. Like our body doesn't recover the way it used to, right? So those type of workouts aren't going to work because we're going to continuously be hitting our joints. We're going to set ourselves up for injury, and then of course it's not sustainable. Like it's not sustainable to work out 6 days a week, unless maybe if you're retired. But by the time you're retired in your 60s and late 60s and 70s, you want to be training smart, right? You not want to be blasting your joints. So those workouts don't work. The workouts that do work and the training that does work are shorter workouts, right? Shorter, what I call metabolic training. Metabolic training basically is moving from one exercise to another with little to no rest in between, right? So, and the other thing is we want to optimize our training so that we're hitting all of our muscles at the same time in the same training session, or as many as we can. So we do total body workouts. So making sure that we have you can do it this way. These are the workouts that I like right now. Because they just work. You're hitting everything. You do like legs, so you maybe do like a squat, like a dumbbell squat, or a body weight squat, or a kettlebell goblet squat. Then you do a chest press, some variation of a chest press. Maybe then you do a back row, some variation of a row. You do biceps, you do triceps, and you do shoulders, right? And that's a workout. But how you would set that up is you would do one exercise maybe for 40 seconds with 20 seconds rest, and then you move on to the next one, and you move on to the next one, and you do that 4 times. That's 24 minutes. but that's nonstop. You're not stopping, and it's going to give you that metabolic effect of being able to build muscle, so enough volume to have metabolic stress on the muscles, so you're actually building muscle because you have to break down and tear muscle tissue. So that's going to give you a ton of volume. Like try to do a chest press with 50 pounds for 40 seconds. You're going to tap out even during it, and you'll have to hold on for a second before doing it again. So you're and then doing that 4 times. Then we get and then we also get the afterburn effect. So metabolic training gives you something called the afterburn effect. So before we start a workout, we're at homeostasis, which is just normal. Like we're sitting down here, we're at homeostasis. Maybe if you're listening to this and you're in the car driving, you're at homeostasis. When we start to work out, we're going to work out for 20 minutes, 24 minutes, 30 minutes, and then it's going to take our body 24 to 36 hours to get back to homeostasis. That's called the afterburn effect. That's called EPOC, right? Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which means my body has to burn energy, has to burn calories in order to get back to homeostasis. So that's workout number one. And then you repeat that 2 more times throughout the week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's 3 times a week. That's all we need to build muscle, to burn fat, to get healthy. And again, that's just one example of a workout. But the other 2 workouts, you're going to choose different exercises. So instead of doing a squat in workout number 1, you're going to do a lunge. And then instead of doing the lunge in workout number 3, you're going to do like a Romanian deadlift. And I'm a big proponent of working out at home. So I just worked out like right here. So I have a set of dumbbells there. I have a set of kettlebells. I got resistance bands. I have everything I need to work out in a small space because we always don't have the ability to go to the gym. But that type of training, and again, there's so many variations, but that type of training, 3 days a week, that is all you need when it comes to the actual workouts. But you do need that recovery in between. We could talk to that like mobility and yoga or what have you. But yeah, that's super important. And the reason, I'm just going to add one last thing just before I forget. The major reason why this is so important is number one, muscle. We have to build muscle, right? So we have to build muscle because muscle is the organ of longevity. It helps with our metabolic health. It helps with our mitochondria. And we suffer from sarcopenia, which is a natural loss of muscle due to aging. So that starts at 35. So not only are testosterone levels dropping, but now we're fighting sarcopenia. Like, oh my God, and now my muscles are literally I'm losing muscle just because of aging. So we want to always be building muscle in some capacity, and that is the best way to start. Metabolic resistance training 3 times a week.
Cool. So let's jump over into nutrition.
Yeah, so this is my favorite because I wrote a best-selling book, Nutrition for Men Over 40. So nutrition for me is all about testosterone. Like that's all it is. Nutrition for me is about so anything I put in my mouth is going to help give me a very healthy hormonal environment, right? So testosterone or in decreasing estrogen, right? If I have excess estrogen, obviously with fat burning and muscle building is super important as well. And then the ability to fight off chronic illness, right? Immune, all of those things. So when it comes to testosterone, let me just say one thing about testosterone is testosterone, it starts from the hypothalamus, right? The production, in general, happens when you sleep. It happens during deep, 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 deep sleep, right? So you have to get good quality sleep. Hypothalamus releases gonadotropin hormone. That hormone goes to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland releases follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. That luteinizing hormone goes down to the testes. They both go to the testes. But the luteinizing hormone goes down to the Leydig cell. And the Leydig cell, the luteinizing hormone will knock on the door. The Leydig cell will open the door, and then the luteinizing hormone is looking for cholesterol. Okay, this is very, very important. You need to understand this. Cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone production. If you do not have cholesterol, good cholesterol in your testes, you are not going to get testosterone production. It's that simple. So we need to make sure that the foods that we eat include good cholesterol, healthy fats. Okay, so I just wanted to premise it so that you understand where I'm going with this. So what we have, the nutrition that works, testosterone diet, I guess if you want to call it, is you're going to have 3 meals a day. That's it. No snacking in between. Just 3 meals so your body can digest. You're not overloading your body, your insulin, your cortisol. And each meal is going to have a balanced plate, right? So you're going to have a balanced plate and you're going to have a source of protein because you need protein. Protein is a macronutrient that is the building blocks of our muscles, our bones, our all metabolic process in our body. We need a source of protein, and our body doesn't naturally produce protein, so we have to get that from an outside source. We have to get the amino acids from the essential amino acids from an outside source. And you may think, oh, really, really, I didn't realize that. But when you're in a hospital and they have that drip that's dripping down, usually you'll notice that, or you may ask. I mean, I've asked many times. I've been in the hospital that there's protein in that drip. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but there's protein because you're not naturally getting it, depending if you can or cannot eat. But protein, high quality protein, grass fed beef, eggs, whole eggs. Why whole eggs? Because the yolk has cholesterol. Remember, we talked about cholesterol. So we need that grass fed because it's just high quality, chicken and fish, wild caught salmon. So good high quality protein on that plate. The second thing you need to have are complex carbs. Complex starchy carbs. You cannot be afraid of carbs. Are so essential for your metabolism because carbs actually support the thyroid, and the thyroid is responsible for metabolism. And if you're not eating enough carbs, your metabolism is going to slow down. And you can probably feel it when you don't eat a ton of carbs or you go on a low carb diet. You start to feel no energy. Your body starts to kind of go into starvation mode or survival mode, and instead of your metabolism kicking up and helping you burn fat, everything is kind of slowing down. Your body's like, oh, let me just hold on to that fat over there because I don't know if funk's going to give me the energy because carbs, good complex carbs have glucose, which is the energy that we need, right? The body knows how to use that if you give it the right type, right? So I'm talking sweet potato. It's not a very big list, but I'm talking sweet potato. I'm talking all the rices except brown rice. So basmati rice, jasmine rice, even white rice, quinoa, steel cut oats, Ezekiel bread. So that's the bread you want, Ezekiel bread. Write that one down, guys. That's the bread you want to go after. That's the safe bread if you eat a lot of sandwiches. And then we go to healthy fats, right? Again, this is it. We need healthy fats. Most guys don't even eat fats, and that's not your fault. It's just we've been told to stay away from fats, and 100%. The trans fats are bad, but we still want monounsaturated fats. We still want some saturated fats, and we still want polyunsaturated fats, some of them. So the list is very small, right? You're going to have like olive oil, obviously from the yolk from the eggs. You're going to have Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds, and so there are some avocado, which is like my go-to. I eat avocado literally with every meal, and then you need fruits or vegetables. I say fruits or vegetables on that plate because it just depends. If it's breakfast, you're probably going to have more fruits, right? Berries and those great antioxidants. If it's lunch and dinner, you're going to have at least one salad with leafy greens, right? Because again, those things, the fruits and vegetables, they have the micronutrients, right? The vitamins and minerals, things like magnesium, which is a testosterone booster, things like zinc, testosterone booster, vitamin D3, testosterone booster, right? Selenium, testosterone booster. So we got to eat the foods that are going to feed our hormonal environment. But again, so you need I say three plates. Sometimes it's a smoothie. Sometimes you're going to make a smoothie with, steel cutouts, right? And then you're going to throw in some kale. You're going to put in protein powder, right? To get your protein and water, banana, all those things, mix it up. And that's a meal, right? That's a meal. Some people have it in a bowl, right? So you make a breakfast bowl, but you're going to have 3 meals a day. That's it, right? And those meals need to have a source of all of those things, a source of complex carbs, a source of protein, a source of healthy fats, and a source of vegetables and fruits. And you're going to see more weight loss. You're going to see more energy. You're going to see more belly fat loss. You're going to see that your testosterone levels are, well, as long as you do it, the other things, but you're now setting yourself up to be much, much more healthy, healthy individual. And it's sustainable. That type of eating is sustainable. Like even if you eat twice a day, maybe you don't get to the 3, you would eat 2 big meals, but you try to eat 3. But I can eat that way anywhere in the world. Like I travel all the time. And if I go to a hotel, it's very easy for me to find that. And even if I go to a restaurant, not a fast food place, but a restaurant, I always, oh, can you give me some, avocado with that, please? And yeah, I don't want the fries, but can I get some rice instead? Like you can eat healthy like that anywhere, and it's sustainable, right? It's sustainable. You can eat like that forever.
Now you went into recovery a little bit and what that's different as we get older. And then you talked about the importance of sleep, but how are these really different for us when we're over 40?
Yeah. So there's sleep and recovery. So both of those things. Let's jump on recovery first. So recovery has two pillars. Recovery has physical recovery and it has mental recovery, mindset. The physical recovery is mobility, yoga, like that is a non-negotiable, right? Staying mobile, staying flexible, right? Injury free, pain free. Most of us in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s are either coming in with a little bit of something, oh, my shoulder hurts or your hips are tight, specifically because we sit all the time. Most men sit a lot, whether it's work, whether it's driving, whether it's whatever in front of a computer, right? And we're not doing the things to help open up those hips. And in turn, that affects our back, that affects our knees, right? We're coming with knee pain. We're getting, what have you. And unless it was something structural, something like that was physically damaging, it's usually compounding, right? It's all of those movements that you may have kept doing at work, or the lack of movement, just sitting around, just working, that now starts to accumulate. Maybe you're an athlete. If you're an athlete, like us, we were athletes before, man. Like, I mean, when we were athletes, we were destroying our body in whatever way we were. And so those things may not have showed up before our 40s, but they definitely show up in our 40s. So we've got to start to include mobility, and those Tuesday, Thursdays are that mobility, or yoga or Pilates, right? Those are the things that will help us stay mobile, and every day we need to be doing that. So that's the physical recovery piece. That is a non-negotiable, 100% non-negotiable. The mental mindset recovery piece is to battle chronic stress, right? Because I talked about this, right? That chronic stress, that elevated cortisol levels that are killing us, right? Kills our testosterone. It causes belly fat storage, visceral fat, which is the fat around your liver, which is a fat that will kill you, along with all the other hosts of chronic illnesses that high elevated cortisol levels rate. So we want to manage it, right? We want to know how to manage it. How do I manage it if I'm always like this? Well, we have certain things. We can go for a walk, right? Walking in nature, a general walk in general, and that's actually another non-negotiable. 10,000 steps a day. That's another one. But coming to like things like gratitude journal, like that's for me. I mean, there's nothing more in the world that I do than my gratitude journal. There's a whole bunch of them here. This is now my newer one, right? So you're just, you're writing down every day all the things that you're grateful for, right? This is like mine. I got it all over the place. I got tons of gratitude journals. I go through them obviously because that is a non-negotiable for me. Every time I wake up in the morning, that's one of the first things I do. It's part of my lowering my cortisol, right? Morning routine. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Writing out what you're thankful for. Second thing that I do is breath work. So I have a lot of breath work that I do. Just again, breath work is such a powerful thing, right? Any time of the day you can use this, right? Specifically after a very maybe you had a meeting and it's like a very stressful meeting, or you've had a stressful day at work, or, you're in a stressful day, like right in it. And you're like, man, I just need 10 minutes, right? Go out, do some breath work, do some grounding, right? Ground yourself, right? Listen to the things that are out that you can hear around you so that you can be present. And then some breath work, like 4 box breathing, right? Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and repeat. And there's so many different ones of types. So that's amazing. And then number 3 for me is meditation, right? So again, it's just, and there's so many types of meditation. And I know guys are like, it's the kind of woo-woo stuff, but I'm telling you right now, man, like in the morning when I meditate, it's like I'm a different person, right? You're just really true. And that's more about being present, right? It's about being present and not letting all these other things happen. So that's that recovery piece, which is super important because it's the chronic health it's our chronic cortisol that we want to fight. The second part is sleep. Oh man. Okay. So this is it. This is the number one thing. If we just fix our sleep, right? All the other stuff would literally, you would see and feel so better if you just got good quality sleep. You would feel better. You would look better. Your markers would probably be better, even if you didn't change anything. You would probably get even slightly better blood markers or whatever if you just sleep. Sleep is literally the most important. Why? Well, because during our sleep, that's when testosterone production happens during deep sleep, right? Slow wave sleep, REM sleep. Number 2, I talked about we have to build muscle. Well, we're not building muscle in the gym. We're actually creating a catabolic environment in the gym. We're breaking down, tearing down muscle tissues. So we need to rebuild muscle. When does that happen? Well, it happens during deep sleep, slow wave sleep, restorative sleep, REM sleep. Our muscles are like, okay, Functions did a workout. He's giving us the nutrition, right? His cortisol levels are good, melatonin is up, he's in a deep sleep. We gotta repair, we've gotta recover, we gotta maybe get stronger, maybe even get bigger, right? That happens only during your sleep. That's when that happens, right? Your brain gets flush, right? Specifically during slow wave sleep, your brain gets to flush out all of the craziness that's gone on the day before. So you're not cleaning up that brain, don't get brain fog. Along with so many other things, your cortisol levels stay low. So that's why that's important. Now, I kept talking about slow wave sleep, REM sleep, restorative sleep, because that is the most important sleep. It's not about how long you sleep, it's about getting the quality of sleep. So, yes, back in the day, I used to preach 7 to 9 hours. Everybody probably preaches that 7 to 9, 7 to 9, 7 to 9. That's not important. What's important is the restorative sleep, because I used to get 7 to 9 hours sleep every single night. What I didn't realize is that, and I thought my Whoop strap was broken. I actually had a Whoop strap, and I literally thought this was broken because I was getting 7 to 9 hours every single night, 7 to 8 hours every single night. And my recovery on my Whoop, if you have a Whoop, you know what I'm talking about. But there's a recovery score. My recovery score would never get over 20, so it was always in the red. No matter what I did, outside of that, it was in the red. I'm like, man, I can't. This has to be broken because I'm getting 7 to 9 hours sleep. I didn't even look at the restorative sleep. That wasn't even in my head. And then 2 years ago, when I realized, and I started working with an online sleep coach, got my certification. Oh, it's restorative sleep, eh? Okay. So the aha moment happened. And then I started to look and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm only getting 20 minutes of restorative sleep. So that's when the light came on. And I had to change things up, you know, getting blackout blinds, wearing a face mask to make sure that everything is dark, making sure that I wasn't playing on my phone before I went to bed, making sure that I wasn't going to bed with all kinds of things, going through my head, making sure that we turned down the temperature. It was a collective with my wife and I to do this. But as soon as I did that, restorative sleep goes up 2, 3, 4 hours a night. And that is the big change because now my muscle, I can grow muscle, I can build muscle, testosterone, all of those great things happen when I'm sleeping, and now I'm focusing on that metric, right? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So you may even be thinking you're getting a tons of sleep, but you still wake up feeling like crap. You still wake up brain fog. You still wake up with no energy. You have to start tracking. You have to start tracking your sleep and really truly doing the setting up like a routine that will allow you to get better quality of sleep, 2 to 4 hours of restorative sleep as consistent as you can.
Excellent. And then let's jump into the final topic that you have for the average guy is the lifestyle and legacy.
Yeah, so that's a good one. So for me, this was something that I wanted to include in the summit because yes, health is super important. Nutrition, the workouts, all the things that we talked about today. But then there's that other piece, right? The lifestyle piece, which is things like what happens after I retire, right? I've lost weight. Now, how do I dress, your style, what you do after you retire, your relationships with your family, your relationships with your wife, right? Those things, if you are suffering from mental health or addiction or things like that, those are things that I wanted to address here because yes, our legacy is important. Our legacy can a legacy is different for everybody. What type of legacy, what that means to somebody, what you want to leave when you die. But the lifestyle piece of it for me as well was important because you are starting a new second half strong, right? That's what we're becoming, second half part of our life. And our lives are always changing, specifically our life and what we used to strive for as a teenager is different from when we're in our 20s, right? Different from when our 30s when we're trying to get that career and we've got kids and all those things in our 40s. We still may be there, but our 40s is now when we physically feel different, right? And we're getting a little bit closer to retirement. And then if you lean into a transformation, whether it's physically, right? Like, so you've transformed your body, you've lost weight, you're getting into shape. there's still that lifestyle piece. What do I got to buy new clothes. I got to start to dress to impress. Or maybe you've lost a loved one. Maybe you're a widow. Maybe you've been in divorce. Maybe, there's something where you want to get back into love, right? You want love. We all need love. We all want that, because another thing we do is we isolate. So we all want that love. We all want to be able connected to somebody. So how do we, what do we do? Like, we don't know how to get back into dating. We don't know how to get back into, that world. So that is very, we can't overlook that, right? We can't keep living. I remember my wife used to tell me, man, like when we first started when we were first married, she'd be like, dude, like, you're still dressing like the 90s. Like it was like, well, 45 years old, man, that's it, right? Like, but that's not it. Like, when we're this age, we should be, continuing to evolve, right? We should lean into AI. We should lean into all of these things, right? It's not, it happens during deep, 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 deep sleep, right? So you have to get good quality sleep. Hypothalamus releases gonadotropin hormone. That hormone goes to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland releases follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. That luteinizing hormone goes down to the testes. They both go to the testes, but the luteinizing hormone goes down to the Leydig cell. And the Leydig cell, the luteinizing hormone will knock on the door. The Leydig cell will open the door, and then the luteinizing hormone is looking for cholesterol. Okay, this is very, very important. You need to understand this. Cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone production. If you do not have cholesterol, good cholesterol in your testes, you are not going to get testosterone production. It's that simple. So we need to make sure that the foods that we eat include good cholesterol, healthy fats. Okay, so I just wanted to premise it so that you understand where I'm going with this. So what we have, the nutrition that works, testosterone diet, I guess if you want to call it, is you're going to have 3 meals a day. That's it. No snacking in between. Just 3 meals so your body can digest. You're not overloading your body, your insulin, your cortisol. And each meal is going to have a balanced plate, right? So you're going to have a balanced plate, and you're going to have a source of protein, because you need protein. Protein is is a macronutrient that is the building blocks of our muscles, our bones, our all metabolic process in our body. We need a source of protein, and our body doesn't naturally produce protein, so we have to get that from an outside source. We have to get the amino acids from the essential amino acids from an outside source. And you may think, oh, really, really, I didn't realize that. But when you're in a hospital and they have that drip that's dripping down, usually you'll notice that, or you may ask, I mean, I've asked many times, I've been in the hospital, that there's protein in that drip. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but there's protein because you're not naturally getting it, depending if you can or cannot eat. But protein, high quality protein, grass-fed beef, eggs, whole eggs. Why whole eggs? Because the yolk has cholesterol. Remember, we talked about cholesterol. So we need that grass-fed because it's just high quality. Chicken and fish, wild-caught salmon. So good high-quality protein on that plate. The second thing you need to have are complex carbs. Complex starchy carbs. You cannot be afraid of carbs. Are so essential for your metabolism, because carbs actually support the thyroid, and the thyroid is responsible for metabolism. And if you're not eating enough carbs, your metabolism is going to slow down. And you can probably feel it when you don't eat a ton of carbs, or you go on a low carb diet. You start to feel no energy. Your body starts to kind of go into starvation mode or survival mode, and instead of your metabolism kicking up and helping you burn fat, everything is kind of slowing down. Your body's like, oh, let me just hold on to that fat over there, because I don't know if funk's going to give me the energy, because carbs, good complex carbs, have glucose, which is the energy that we need, right? The body knows how to use that if you give it the right type, right? So I'm talking sweet potato. It's not a very big list, but I'm talking sweet potato. I'm talking all the rices except brown rice. So basmati rice, jasmine rice, even white rice, quinoa, steel cut oats, Ezekiel bread. So that's the bread you want, Ezekiel bread. Write that one down, guys. That's the bread you want to go after. That's the safe bread if you eat a lot of sandwiches. And then we go to healthy fats, right? Again, this is it. We need healthy fats. Most guys don't even eat fats, and that's not your fault. It's just we've been told to stay away from fats, and 100%. The trans fats are bad, but we still want monounsaturated fats. We still want some saturated fats, and we still want polyunsaturated fats, some of them. So the list is very small, right? You're going to have like olive oil, obviously from the yolk from the eggs. You're going to have Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds, and so there are some avocado, which is like my go-to. I eat avocado literally with every meal. And then you need fruits or vegetables. I say fruits or vegetables on that plate because it just depends. If it's breakfast, you're probably going to have more fruits, right? Berries and those great antioxidants. If it's lunch and dinner, you're going to have at least one salad with leafy greens, right? Because again, those things, the fruits and vegetables, they have the micronutrients, right? The vitamins and minerals, things like magnesium, which is a testosterone booster, things like zinc, testosterone booster, vitamin D3, testosterone booster, right? Selenium, testosterone booster. So we got to eat the foods that are going to feed our hormonal environment. But again, that whole so you're gonna eat I say three plates. Sometimes it's a smoothie. Sometimes you're gonna make a smoothie with steel cutouts, right? And then you're gonna throw in some kale. You're gonna put in protein powder, right, to get your protein, and water, banana, all those things. Mix it up, and that's a meal, right? That's a meal. Some people have it in a bowl, right? So you make a breakfast bowl, but you're going to have 3 meals a day. That's it, right? And those meals need to have a source of all of those things: a source of complex carbs, a source of protein, a source of healthy fats, and a source of vegetables and fruits. And you're going to see more weight loss. You're going to see more energy. You're going to see more belly fat loss. You're going to see that your testosterone levels are, well, as long as you do the other things, but you're now setting yourself up to be much, much more healthy, healthy individual. And it's sustainable. That type of eating is sustainable. Like even if you eat twice a day, maybe you don't get to the three, you would eat 2 big meals, but you try to eat three. But I can eat that way anywhere in the world. Like I travel all the time. And if I go to a hotel, it's very easy for me to find that. And even if I go to a restaurant, not a fast food place, but a restaurant, I always, oh, can you give me some, avocado with that, please? And yeah, I don't want the fries, but can I get some rice instead? Like you can eat healthy like that anywhere and it's sustainable, right? It's sustainable. You can eat like that forever.
Well, looks like Funk and I had a problem with our connection and he fell off. So I'll be cobbling together the recordings on this to see. Hopefully, I can come up with a pretty good episode for you. But he had essentially finished what we wanted to talk about. We just didn't get an opportunity to pitch you on the reason that Funk was on the podcast. Obviously, we went over 6 of the 7 days of content in a very summary format, because again, this is not a long podcast, but basically give you an idea of what the summit's going to cover over the 7 days. It's absolutely free unless you want to buy the recordings and have access to them. Otherwise, with over 100 sessions, that I think that's well worth it. And they're throwing in some other goodies. But if you go to 40plusfitness.com/summit, you have an opportunity to see what we're doing there. I was a featured speaker along with quite a few others. But the group that he got together, bar none, is the best health summit, particularly for men over 40, that I've ever seen. And I've been doing this for 11 years. So this is a pretty big deal. I hope you'll check it out, 40plusfitness.com/summit. Next time on the 40 Plus Fitness podcast, we discuss the 5 keys to strength training. Until then, have a happy and healthy week.